Obviously you love Pet Sematary. What's your connection?
It was a terrifying novel. There's really no happy ending for anyone involved. It has complete closure for the entire family.
Has it made you want pets less or more?
I've always had pets. Actually, my cat, he was hit by a car on the road, and I brought him in and I gave him surgery, and we had him for about 10 years, and he passed last year, unfortunately.
Wait, you have a cat that was hit by a car that lived?
Yeah, he
For
had.
10 years?
Yeah, he had.
And you collect Pet Sematary stuff?
Yeah, and I still have my cat.
What do you mean you still have the cat?
I still had the cat. I couldn't get rid of it. He's been all over the world with me, so.
Like it's stuffed?
No, but he's still with us.
Stephen King is one of the most well-known and prolific horror writers of all time. His movies and books have terrified us for decades. But where does he get his weird ideas? Well, turns out a lot of them come from right here in a little town called Bangor, Maine.
Must be Brian.
Hey, Stu. Nice to meet you.
Stu from SK Tours. Yeah, you're probably wondering why we're here in a cemetery. This is where they filmed a portion of the original Pet Sematary. When Stephen King was in college, this was where he spent a lot of time. If he needed to get away from all the hectic parts of the college life, this was a great place to be. Got a lot of character names off from headstones here, did some writing here.
So let's go take a look at some creepy parts of this graveyard before it gets too dark.
There's plenty of creepy parts.
So Stu, you have been running SK Tours for how long now?
Full-time about 10 years. Started doing tours in the area back in '91 in conjunction with the bookstore. You know, you'd had people come in that just wanted to see some of the places Steve had written about. I was told that it wouldn't work. You know, nobody would come to Bangor to see any of these places. In the summertime, from beginning of April to mid-November, we do 2 a day, 7 days a week. He's just popular everywhere. He just connected with so many people. Georgie was the little boy at the beginning of the story of it.
Hiya, Georgie.
Is this like a little boy's grave?
Yeah, he was 4 years old when he passed away. Now the taller one over here with the rounded top is Carrie.
Stephen King would just come down here and just like look at graves and
Just wander around.
pick up some names for his characters?
For a writer, what better source of character names than a cemetery?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Pet Sematary was probably the hardest book for me to read because you could just envision it happening to your child.
Yep.
It was delayed a number of years because Doubleday refused to publish it because it dealt with the death of a child. This is, get up here a little further here, on the left is the stairway that's very prominent in the scene at the beginning of Pet Sematary when Stephen King was the minister.
And now, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you.
Pet Sematary just seemed to resonate with people. Such a creepy story. Footsteps that end at a grave. They don't go any further and they don't go back. Makes you wonder, huh?
Yo, what's up, Seth?
How you
Thanks for
doing?
coming through.
No problem, man.
My favorite person in Maine.
Thank you very much.
Also the only person I know in Maine. This is the Stephen King themed hotel room they put me in.
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah. It's called the King Suite.
You're sleeping here tonight.
I'm gonna try. Seth, thanks for coming through. You grew up in Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
And so you used to go like trick-or-treating at Stephen King's house.
Yeah, we lived right down the street.
Did you feel like connected to his work more? Did you grow up wanting to be a horror writer?
I mean, who in Maine doesn't want to grow up to write about grotesque, horrible, spooky spirits?
There's books everywhere. There's a quote up here which should be inspiring, like if it was from like, I don't know, Mark Twain. But because it's Stephen King, it's scary. So Seth, Stephen King did a ton of his writing here. A lot of his characters and scenarios and settings take place here.
Yeah.
Why here? What connects him to this place?
I mean, like Bangor specifically, it's kind of off the beaten path. There's more true Maine soul here, I feel like. since people don't generally seek out Bangor, Maine, you know, it's unknown, and there's like a little bit of fear. You don't know, like we don't know what's up in that trap door.
No, I don't. I don't want to know what's in that trapdoor. I hate that trapdoor. There's just a hatch on the roof.
The Pennywise hatch.
Yeah, and it's like the thing is, it's like ajar. You know what I'm saying? Like it's open that much.
Just enough for like a claw.
Yeah, or like a ceiling cat. Like something's gonna pop through there. When I came in here, it was like kind of light out, and now it's getting dark, and my perception of this place is changing drastically, and I don't want to be here at all. Now, Stu, you brought me here to Dysart's truck stop, specifically, hopefully, for this pie, right? This is really what it's all about.
Yeah, it really is.
No, really. Why did you bring me here?
Dysart's was Steve's inspiration for a short story called Trucks.
He's got a thing with trucks. They show up a lot.
Yeah, they do.
It's
They do,
odd.
Yeah.
This whole place is ours?
I even got him to throw in a whole forest as a new backyard.
It eventually worked into being the screenplay of Maximum Overdrive.
Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive.
My favorite scene was the guy there that was putting money into a soda machine, and it starts pegging cans of soda at him and finally drills one through his forehead. And, you know, as sick as it is, you can't help but laugh.
If we order the pie, will it kill us?
No, these pies are excellent.
Thank God.
Yeah, they got the best pies in the state. So everywhere you go in Derry or Bangor, you run into something that inspired Stephen King.
Oh, come on.
No.
Are you kidding me? This is horrible. This is the storm drain that inspired it?
Yeah, Steve was walking one morning, there was water going into it, and he came up with this idea of a clown hiding in there that grabs a little boy. It takes quite an imagination to come up with something that weird.
And horrifying.
Yeah.
God. People come to Bangor, are they here because they want to see Stephen King's house, they want to see the settings from the movies, they're fans of the books, or is it a mix of everything?
We always finish the tour at the house. That's on everybody's bucket list.
Well, I feel like if you're gonna write bleak, terrifying psychological horror, this is a good spot.
He's been here since 1967, bought the house here in 76, been here ever since. This is home, and you know, he's able to come and go in Bangor and nobody bothers him. They're treated like neighbors. I've had people burst into tears when they're here. They've seen this house in pictures for 40 years and can't believe they're standing in front of it.
Tell me about the connection to Derry. Where does that fit in?
Well, when Steve started writing the book It took place in Bangor. What he was writing made the town sound so evil. I mean, it really did. It's just a nasty place to live.
Right.
And he was concerned that it might offend local people. But it made him change it from being Bangor to this fictitious town of Derry. Nobody knows where the ideas come from with Steve. You just don't. I mean, he's got an imagination that is second to none. Everything he sees becomes a potential part of a story, and it can be the most common thing in the world, and he can make it horrific if he wants to. So this is Gerald Winters and Son. This is the Stephen King bookstore in Bangor, or Derry.
My vision is to share with the world as much of the Stephen King items I've collected over my life that I had amassed, and I wanted to move to Bangor to show it to people, sell some of them, and invite fans to see things that they may never have normally seen. Manuscripts to uncorrected proofs to first editions.
So this sort of works as, it's like a gift shop, but also a museum. What's like some of the rarest stuff you have in your store?
At the moment, I have an asbestos fire starter that was made back in 1980. There was 26 of them made with asbestos boards before they knew that asbestos was a carcinogen.
And so there are 2 copies of Pet Sematary here.
This one is the first edition from 1983 by Doubleday when it first came out, and this one is an uncorrected proof before the book was published.
Wow.
They did this version of the proof. It was basically a photocopy of Steve's actual manuscript.
And so you said you also have the axe from The Shining?
Yes.
Yo.
On the handle, it's a little bit of a crack because they had several of them during the filming and several broke because of repeated attacks on the door.
Have you ever attacked a door with this?
This is a door. My son and I went at it with an axe and a hatchet to try to recreate what Jack Nicholson did in the Stanley Kubrick version. He's 5.
Very typical, father-son bonding thing.
It
It's
is.
like playing catch, just taking a door down with an axe. Just, usual dad-son stuff.
So Pet Sematary, what is your connection to the original book, the original movie? You have first run prints of it here. You have the artwork that ended up on the book cover.
Yeah.
Custom artwork from modern artists. Obviously you love Pet Sematary. What's your connection?
It was a terrifying novel, and after my little boy was born, I saw the movie again and I just had to turn my head away. It's terrifying to watch.
Has it made you want pets less or more?
I've always had pets. Actually, my cat in Ireland, he was a rescue. He was hit by a car on the road, and I brought him in and I gave him surgery, and we had him for about 10 years, and he passed last year, unfortunately.
Wait, you have a cat that was hit by a car that lived?
Yeah,
for 10 years.
Yeah,
and you collect Pet Sematary stuff.
Yeah, and I still have my cat.
What do you mean you still have the cat?
I still have the cat. I couldn't get rid of it. He's been all over the world with me, so.
It's stuffed?
No, he's in a freezer and we'll decide what to do in the future with him, but he's still with us. A lot of people who come here from all over the world, they say to me, oh, these things don't really happen. I go, are you really so sure? I think they're the reason why Stephen King has stayed in Bangor so long and why he gets the inspiration for writing his stuff. There is stuff going on here that he can see it and a lot of people here can see it, and he writes it and people around the world believe it and they come here to want to see it. They want to meet the horror.